Ben Walker says, have you ever dealt with body inclusion disease? I had it run.
Ironically enough, I just was talking about it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what I was just talking about with Pete. I have personally never dealt with IBD or inclusion body disease, thankfully, because it's an unbelievable. Did he say he just had it?
Yeah, he said, I had it run through my ball python collection and lost half my breeders last year. I'm over it now, but I want to do everything I can to prevent it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's an interesting virus, and it's an incurable virus. It's an interesting virus because it's not a good virus outside of boa constrictors, right? Boa constrictors can be carriers and hold onto the IBD virus for a lifetime and be asymptomatic. Outside of boas, if it hits a ball python collection, for instance, it's radical and it kills all your animals within a very, very short period of time. So the good news and bad news is that it kills itself off, right?
Yeah.
The virus is so rampant and it's so deadly that a python catches that virus and literally will be dead within usually a month or two.
Wow.
So it's the good news from a python standpoint is you can isolate the collection and it will be out of your collection within a pretty short period of time. The only way it transfers is through fluid, so breeding, mites, and that type of thing.
Saliva?
I don't even know if saliva.
More like
it's
blood,
possible.
sexual fluids.
I believe it's blood, sexual fluids. So I'm sorry you lost your animals. It's horrible. But IBD is definitely, it's weird. You're the first person I've heard have IBD in years.
Yeah, it's funny because he actually mentioned that before we even started talking about IBD. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. It's not very common. Back, like I said, in the early to mid 90s, it was a pretty prevalent thing, and a lot of people, Pete Call lost almost his entire collection to IBD. But fortunately, it never hit his ball pythons, but his boa, he had a massive boa collection that was worth millions and millions of dollars. This is when albino boas were still $7,500, $10,000 a piece, and he had 90% of them in the world.
Wow, yeah.
And he wiped out like 3/4 of his adult boas from IBD.
So
And it came in, I think it came in from an aneurystic boa, which was, again, very rare. So he was looking to produce the first snow boas. And I think he bred his albino male to his snow, or to the anery female to get this. And next thing you know, of course, he put the male in with other females, blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, like his whole collection was dying off, and it's a horrible, horrible disease. And again, Elliot Jacobson is the one that did the research, the pathology on all of them, and ultimately came up with the test that you can test for IBD.
Wow.
So
single out your problem and probably try to keep everything away from that.
Yeah.
Right?
If you ever have any symptoms of IBD, isolation is everything. But again, it's not common these days. And most of the time, that's why we're very cautious with boas, is because boas are what is the carrier of IBD.
And without symptoms.
You can have a boa that its whole life is completely normal, yet it's carrying and spreading IBD. So again, make sure your vectors like mites are taken care of, and make sure that you keep your boas and pythons separate.
Damn, son!
Can we rail this in?